pollen is killer out here. All the plants are very happy. Happy Hump Day, everybody, and welcome back to Brown Bag Bets. Powered by BetSperts, we are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. Returning, as always, from his brief BetSperts golf respite, I look forward to going back and watching to see who's going to win the tournament. Honestly, you guys are making it kind of boring. Mr. Andy Molitor, how goes it? How are things?
I thought about that a lot this morning, Alex, because it's a bit of a, I don't know, like Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Back to the Future. This is like a trilogy. And if I do pick the winner correctly this week, it'll actually put an obscene amount of pressure on me next week to like finish off the playoffs because like part threes haven't been great traditionally in a lot of things, although I shouldn't say that about Star Wars. All those were good. But man, like I'm almost hoping I get a runner up this week. I should just play each ways and get a runner up because that would put in a lot of pressure. And I'm gone next week. So just for anyone who watches anything, I'm off next week. I will be up north. We have a cabin. I'm going to be just probably, I was going to say grow a beard. I already have a beard, but just I'll put a flannel on like Tiger and just be a mountain man. Tiger, did you see the Tiger Woods video at all?
Well, how could you not see it with everybody making
Yeah.
jokes about how scared Ricky Fowler should be? I mean,
Oh God, I know those are horrible. It's just like
they
he
made me
looked
laugh.
weird in the flannel. It's like when the guy who's running for like Senate has to go visit some small towns, and you've never seen this person out of like a business suit, and then suddenly they're just wearing a flannel shirt to this town hall. It's like, buddy, the tag is still on that. You're ridiculous. But oh, Tiger heading down with something. But yeah, it's a fun week with BMW. I'll be off next week. I purposely planned that because I hate next week's golf tournament with the stupid scoreboard and whatnot. I'm fine. Just I'll donk on a couple hours. I'll still bet golf. I'm not gonna just.
Well,
It's something I'm able to win money at. I'm not gonna stop for a week. So, and it is a volume game. I bet hundreds of golf bets every year. So, this week is in Wilmington, which
Delaware.
so I'm working on the newsletter. Haven't finished this yet. And Alex, I've been to the East Coast very sparingly. I've been to Europe more times than I've been to the East Coast. Like it's just not something that's been in part of my vacationing planning ever. Or I just
You
haven't
like
gone
nice
there. So
weather, I get it.
yeah, so I don't know. Like my geography just fucking sucks. And I'm looking at the weather and I'm like, oh, it's not going to be that windy. I'm like, Wilmington's on the coast, right? I look, oh, dude, it's it's a suburb of Philadelphia, man. It is essentially just. I mean, it's further out than the suburbs, but it's just there. It's on the river. It is not a coastal town whatsoever. It's just like it's a stopover on the drive to Baltimore. So I learned where Wilmington was today. That was
That's good.
big on my list. But yeah, I do have some outrights. I don't know how many of these are within reach, although for those people that are across the river from Wilmington in the great state of New Jersey, I will say this, and I don't promote books ever, but if you unless I'm paid, God bless you should bet all your bets at FanDuel, obviously. But Bet 365 has been pretty good this year for golf stuff, and it is one of those things where you have to wait, and usually there's going to be two or three guys that are boosted, and I know the limits are a little lower on that, but man, you can every week they have golf bets boosted for outrights. You can get some pretty good prices compared to the market. So if you are in the New Jersey tri-state area there, that's something I would check out because I think right now you can get Finau at a better number than I'm posting, and that was a struggle for me to find a 19 at some point. So it is a bomber's course for the most part, but also it is still not a shitty field. Sometimes you have these courses like, oh, it's a bombers week because, and it's like, well, yeah, and there's only like 5, 6 good players here. So sometimes you'll have someone just hit the piss out of the ball and win the tournament. Everybody's here. All the good players are here, save Cam Smith. So I don't think that's just going to straight up win you, and it's not going to hurt if you can hit the ball a country mile. So Finau, Xander, Morikawa, and Young is my entire card for the week. I did save some funds for some possible live ads, which um, I will say there's a decent case for that. They don't do the split tees. So anyone who watches golf knows, like, well, with 150 guys, some guys start on the
Oh yeah.
10th tee early, especially Thursday and Friday. None of that. It's played like the Opens where everybody starts on the first tee. So despite only being 68 in the field, there will be some late tee times. I
Are we
almost
down
wish I
from
would have.
69? I thought we were at 69.
We're at 60. Yeah. So Woodland qualified, but isn't playing, and they won't bump someone in because you got to earn your way in. So if people drop out, they never add to this. And I don't know. It's good for everyone else that's in there because it bumps the purse up a titch for everyone else. But so between Woodland and Cam Smith, we are down to 68. But yes, there will be late tee times. So decent opportunity possibly to add some outrights late who literally have done nothing wrong. If you see their odds drop, it's only based on other people doing things right. I guess there's something to that, but that's not to say they can't go out there and shoot an opening round with some low scores, even if it is in the afternoon. Because again, not on the coast, on the river. But Finau 19, Xander 21, Morikawa 25, and Young 28 were the numbers I was able to get. If you can get better than that, kudos. But those are my guys. I don't think Zal doesn't have a shot at winning again. He's looking so good right now, but his number was a little depressed, and that depressed me. So those are my outrights for the week. And that's everything. Anything else I bet will be over at BetSperts Golf over in the Discord. I did have one matchup I wanted to go over too. So it's another week where,
Oh, not this guy.
yeah, I
All you
know.
guys do is complain about him. I feel like this guy, has hosed us this year.
It kind of has, but the pickings are a little slimmer uh, on the old I don't know, the betting menu, whatever
Yeah,
have
that's
you.
true.
And I thought honestly, when I did this, I thought Seamus hit the ball a little further. I thought he was getting a bump for being a bomber, but they're both about tour average for driving distance. I just have Mito much higher ranked in so many other things. I mean, just he's going to be better with his irons. I like Seamus. I've bet on Seamus. I haven't hit it outright on Seamus back in the day. I love how his name's spelt and said, but at this price, I'm getting plus money here. I think the actual odds for just the matchup was right around minus 130. I think bookmaker was a little higher, which is again a good side. But Mito Pereira minus 1.5 over Seamus for a multitude of reasons, and a lot of it just being second shot score making, and a guy I don't think that's going to have as much struggles with some of the. There's going to be some three putts here that are going to very much bother people who bet on certain golfers. Big greens. Everyone's going to find them. It's going to be making sure you find your way into the hole and score on the holes you can. So Mito 1.5 over Seamus. That's my one matchup that I have bet so far.
Turn down the power. Come on, Mito. Do something.
Bet online low vig. I think that's where I got that at.
Something like
How goes the old tennis tournament down in Cincy? The latest I seen was the FAA match was interrupted, so I think it might be. I didn't have the TV on. I think it may be raining.
Yeah, it's going so okay so far. I think we're up a little bit on match plays. We've got a big underdog today again. You'll like this. We've got Sloaner again today, but trying to look through. Outright's doing okay. Kudermatova, it looks like she's going to walk into a really nice spot. I was hoping Halep after a long week would maybe a little fatigued, maybe possibly pull out. It looks like we might get that hole to open. So it's been fun in Cincinnati, despite a little bit of weather issues. We've had some rain here and there, but some great matches, a lot of tie breaks, Andy. I mean, the speed of these courts have really shown so far.
It's super weird. I just got a press release from like Mito's agent, not his agent, but like his PR firm. Oh. Generationals, Mito Pereira advances to next round of PGA Fed. It's a sign.
I don't know why
I would get this. Good job. Let's go, Mito. So, all right, back to Cincy. Sloaner at a big price. Look at that. But yeah, it's still early-ish in the tournament, so you should have a big fat card today, right?
Handful of stuff. We finally get an over 2.5 sets bet for the first time in a long time. It seems like this number is just a little depressed. Jesse Pegula is going to play Marta Kostyuk. This is, I believe, next up. I'm not sure after which match, but we just started play for the day. Probably start about 15, 20 minutes after we wrap up the show. You might see a 20 and a half. I was happy to go and pay a little bit less for the 21. There's some 21s at even money around there. Bookmakers always good with stuff like that. Then over 2.5 sets plus 165. I think this is going to be a long match. And as I started to look at my numbers and kind of the way I was looking at this match, more often than not, I had the total going over in 3 sets. I think there is a chance we get a very competitive set, a 7-5, maybe a 7-6 in one of these 2 sets. But the more I looked at it, the more it seems like this is probably a 3-setter. But 21 at cheap money, even plus money, again, depending on where you look, looks great to me. We could definitely hit that in 2 sets and over 2.5 sets. It's been a while, but finally saw a plus 170, plus 165 here. Had this closer to plus 140, plus 145 myself. Again, part of the correlation being I had the total high, but it does seem like this particular match, both of these women really struggle to put matches away in 2 sets. And given the way they play, I think there might be an exchange here, and we'll have 3 sets. Hopefully, Pagula, well, maybe Kostrick. Actually, I don't have an outright on either, but 3 sets here looks pretty good to me. So give me the over and over 2.5 sets. Put together 2 favorites here. Marie Buzkova plays Allison Risk. The price I got in this parlay is around 270 minus 275. I just closer to minus 350, almost 375 myself. Risk just getting a lot of credit for some easy kind of sloppy wins, and Buzkova really in fantastic form, has put together some really great weeks of tennis. I believe only one loss in the last couple of weeks, and even having to qualify a little bit. And not too worried about the fatigue here. The matches have been so quick. She spent so little time on court and has had some time to recover here. But again, have this closer to 360, 375 myself, and we'll put her together with Karolina Pliskova, who loves it here. All this speed is really good for her game. She generally advances deep into the tournament and goes up against Elise Mertens, who just doesn't have it here. Generally takes care of Mertens in the 3 or 4 times they have played, I believe, in the last year or so. Beat her in 2 sets twice, I think. I'd have to go back and double check. But it's a great matchup for her. I look at this line right now. Pliskova only minus 175. I had this closer to 250, so a pretty big edge there if you just wanted to play it by itself. But happy to put that with Buzkova for plus 115. And then give me Sloane Stevens. Give me the games. Give me the money line. She played a great first match. Goes against Iga Swiatek, who generally does not play well in North American hard courts. Now, she's only had, this is probably her 3rd season as a serious WTA player playing in North America, but just really struggles here for some reason. And although she can be good on grass at Wimbledon and places like that where we've seen her succeed, doesn't necessarily do well on some of these faster courts. And Sloane has looked great the last couple of weeks, generally picks up her game this time of year, and had this closer to 4.5 and, plus 400. So plus 6, plus 5.5 is fine, plus 550, anything plus 500 or better. And you should be able to find that easily. And then another American, Madison Keys. It is not a Grand Slam, Andy, but she goes up against Elena Ostapenko, who, to say this delicately, continues to work on growing her power, if you will. And not sure that's really going well. Her movement is really struggling. She looks out of sorts, and I don't really know what to do with that. Madison Keys doesn't.
Clijsters-esque.
Yes. Yeah, she's working on sort of that Kleister style body, if you will. Madison Keys doesn't really mind the game that Ostapenko wants to play. Keys plays very similarly. She's happy to stand there, smash the ball as hard as she can, be really aggressive on return. She is not going to mind Ostapenko talking to her in whatever language she is, cursing, saying crazy stuff. So I really like Keys here. I had her favorite in this match, and that was even before going back and watching Ostapenko's first round match that just stumbled into a win. And that probably works as a double entendre, really, if you go back and watch it. So give me Keys at plus anything.
I like the plus move too. There's been some women that have really stepped up in this section of the calendar or what have you. The it's not like a lead up because these are big tournaments, but it is the lead up to the US Open, and that's gonna bode well for anyone that's hoping to cash a check up there.
It's really interesting in the tennis calendar. I think that the most significant change in terms of the seasons, you have the early hard court season, then you go to clay and grass. I think that switch from grass to North American hards. I mean, a lot of these women have been playing hard tennis for 7, 8 months now. It can really build up some fatigue. And I really think this time of the year, go back and look for players that maybe weren't playing so much the first half of the year, whether that be on purpose or they were rehabbing some injuries and stuff. Players that maybe weren't as good at the beginning of the year generally are underrated this time of year. It makes perfect sense until you go back and look and you do a lot of these ratings. So try to really think about the calendar and what you can do in terms of taking advantage of swings in that. Go look at the history. I talked about Iga Swiatek. There are definitely players that tank at this time of the year, whether it be from fatigue, whether it be from the time zone differences and not enjoying all that stuff. It just is a really markedly tough time for certain players.
Yeah. It's a grind. It's like hitting that, and especially some that haven't done it. People talk about hitting that rookie wall. Like it's maybe less of a thing because some of these tennis players play a shitload of Challenger or ITF to get to this level. But some of them, I mean, it's a much bigger grind playing against the high level players constantly. Like there's no respite. It's like, oh, I beat this great player. Oh, guess what? Now you have a 3-time slam winner next round. Like it's a whole different level once you get up here.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's fantastic. It's one of the reasons I like tennis. Like imagine boxers had to box every day. It's obviously not as physical as that, but on some level it does feel like that sometimes.
it's like the UFC one thing where like the in UFC one they had to just fight in a tournament. Where,
Right.
like best of the best, and where it's like, yeah, you won your UFC match. Nowadays, yeah, all right, I'll fight again in 3 months. Like, now you're fighting again in an hour, and this time it's a sumo wrestler. Like,
Yeah, you
love
don't get
it.
hit in the face, but it's definitely pretty physically taxing the way some of these women play.
Yeah, much less punching. Um, which is not that's not what the case is for the Patriots joint practice
Mm.
so far. As there's been a lot of fights, but
There's always that. There's every training camp every year. Somebody
for
punches
sure,
somebody, whatever.
for sure. Over to the NFL. It is Win Total Wednesday,
Man,
and
Millionaire's
like I
excited. You should meet him.
said, I'm going to be gone next week, which means the deep dive will not be recorded next week, which means Drew and I, with the assistance of the fabulous producer Dan, are pre recording some podcasts. So while we are touching on the NFC South, what conference, what division am
West
I on? The
and C West.
NFC West this week. No, my God, who is the
Oh,
we're
you're doing
doing
the
the
AFC West, the
AFC.
team we're talking
Yeah,
about
I'm
today.
I'm talking about too many divisions. Thank you, Dan. We're talking about the AFC West this week. We're doing the NFC West as well, and
Mhm.
they will be released next week. So a little preview of my thoughts on one of the teams in the NFC West. Seahawks under,
Why is this
and
number
this
so
is
high?
a lot of yeah. This is schedule based, and they have like 4 spots on their schedule where they're a small favorite against another shitty team. And essentially, to get close to this number where you're sweating it, they need to go 4-0 in those games. Because I went through a ton of things, and it is to Dan. Dan made this case this morning in the work Slack. It's just 45 minutes of us dragging this franchise, but they really are looking like a team that could get the number one overall pick. Like if they don't win some of these games against the other bad teams, it's like a 2 or 3 win team. Their defense was sneaky bad, hidden by honestly a great job by their defensive coordinator last year to not turn them into some defense that just got slashed all the time. They were just kind of, bad in the sense of you could just get whatever you want short constantly, and long drives were, just kind of the norm against them. The defense should get worse this year as they've lost extra pieces of that, and we'll start with a new coordinator. The offense obviously is going to be maybe the biggest downgrade ever from, I mean, it's going to be Russell Wilson. And this happens all the time when great quarterbacks retire, but Russell Wilson to Drew Lock is bad. Geno Smith less so, but it's not going to be good. And the fact that there's still a competition makes me really worried about what kind of Geno Smith we're going to see. So I can't get to 6 wins without like Geno Smith really surprising me. And yes, we watched the preseason, it looked okay. The only bright spot in this entire team is the wide receiver core, and it's going to be good. But I've seen enough teams with really good wide receivers not do shit because it's just not enough. It's just not going to be enough when this team is constantly playing from behind. They have what amounts to likely the worst offensive line in the league. And if you're constantly playing from behind and the other team just knows you're throwing the whole time, guess what? we're just gonna we're gonna make you throw to running backs and tight ends. We're gonna double DK, see what you can do when you have two defensive ends coming around the edge of what is gonna be a rough go for these tackles, especially a rookie tackle on your left side. So it could be a long season up there in the Pacific Northwest. If you're a Seahawks fan, maybe a rewatch of Twin Peaks would be better this fall. But you know what? There's a decent chance at the onset of April, you're looking at the Seahawks for 2023, and you're just wondering like how good can this team be with the rookie quarterback you're about to draft. So hopeful for 2 years from now, but boy, I'm hard on this under. This is again
Yeah, this is
not a huge bet. I don't go big on these because I hate tying up a ton of money unless it's the Bears one. But I do have some plus money on under 5.5 here.
so. What is the lowest win total you've seen? Because my immediate reaction to seeing this was they might get a nice number on the Seahawks to have the worst record, but their third favorite, or whatever you want to call it, to have the worst record this year. But you can get an alt under 5.5. That means their regular total is 6 somewhere.
Yeah, it's they don't tend to make because teams
This
find
team
ways to win
stinks.
games they shouldn't. Like, well, just bad things happen, and in this case, bad things happening. This team would be them winning games because they should be tanking. And I mean, every year you see this where the Jaguars beat the Bills, and like this team will win a game most likely that they have no business winning. And you usually hope that offsets them losing to like the Falcons or something where there are those 4 games on their schedule. It's these are games that could be competitive with another team that's in a full rebuild mode or has a really bad roster. Like if they go 2-2 in those, yeah, I'm Gucci because they're not going to just magically find a couple wins against some of the really tough teams they're facing, including their own division, which has the Rams, the Niners, and still has Kyler Murray. So it should be a tough one up there. Seahawks fewest points, 8-1 doesn't sound too bad either. Almost like that more. This offense is gonna be kind of rough.
We're gonna have a Jacob Eason game. Like this team's gonna stink out loud. I'm gonna poke around and see if I can find like a 4.5 or something. I mean, this is. I feel like if this goes, it goes bad. If they have any injuries on this line, again, if Geno Smith is, we're gonna have lock games. Ooh, ooh.
Yeah, it's they lost their best cover corner. They lost their best pass rushers. They lost their quarterback. It should be a step down from a team that. And again, they had to play without Russ for a while last year, but it's gonna be rebuild in Seahawks land finally after a
Good
good
thing they
measure of
drafted a running
success.
back.
Yes, who is injured. He possibly it's either a groin injury or a full-blown hernia. So we'll find out where that lands too. So congrats to those guys. Let's go anyone but Seattle this year. And yeah, we'll hit some thumbs ups if you're looking forward to a possible NBA win total Wednesday next week while I'm gone. Who knows what's in store for you?
The
And
schedule is somewhere. Someone has it. Just give it to me.
we will yeah, we'll catch you guys tomorrow.